Hello, Craigster here with another video. This time I have my Lion Knights Castle. This is the set 10305, the 90th anniversary Lion Knights Castle that was released last year, announced at LegoCon. I saw it on LegoCon and immediately I wanted to buy the set. I was a huge Castle fan, particularly as my favourite faction is the Lion Knights, because I had 6080 as a child, which is the original Lion Knights Castle. So I was really pleased that Lego was making this, but as I never leave sets alone, I wanted to do some modifications, and this is basically my video of the modifications I made. So getting into it, you can see straight away from my version that this is completely different from the original. As most people who have that set will say, the ramp is probably the worst Lego designed ramp, particularly for a set of that price that they've ever done. I understand why they did it, but there are some really good ones on Rebrickable where it's much more in keeping and looks a better ramp. I didn't want to just go and do the basic stuff. My plan with this was to elevate it all up, make some changes, and then take it to some Lego shows, which I did. It went to Bricktastic and it went to the Yorkshire Brick Show. Basically to say, look, this is what you can do. You don't have to stick to the normal Lego design of sets. You can play with them, you can build them, you can take them apart, you can build something else, you can do what you like. And that's always been my ethos with the hobby that I love, which is Lego, is that you would, as a child, I would make my own castles out of the Lion Knight Castle. I'd add my own pieces to it, and I'd let my imagination go wild. Albeit there is quite a lot of pieces on here, it's more of an A-fold build than it is a child's build. I would like to think so. But fundamentally, it was just a case of showcasing what it could have looked like. Obviously, this would be really expensive because there is a lot of stuff on here. So yeah, starting with the ramp, in order to get a sort of more higher, bigger ramp, then it needed to be all lifted up. I didn't want to lose functionality. So I decided to basically, if we pull the ramp away, you'll see that I wanted to create caves underneath. And these caves were to replace the caves that were hidden across here. It just made sense to me to have proper caves. I was going to tile them all out, put some detail in, put some lights in. I left some room at the back for battery boxes, switches, that kind of thing. And I was going to have the wolf pack hiding down here. I never got around to that because I ran out of time. I had deadlines to hit to get to the show in time, so then I didn't really have much time to be able to go and do all this finer detail. So then the plan was to bring it back home. It was going to go into my medieval castle series, which episodes 1, 2, and 3 should be popping up in a card here. I can't really do it on this. Oh, here. If you want to go and check them out. But I've now decided that I want to put it back to its original form. I want to leave this one as a display piece, and I'm going to find a home for it somewhere as it's in its original form with its rubbish ramp. So I'm not going to do any of the detail that I'm going to talk about on here. I was going to say what I would have done if I'd have left it in this way. Because there's so many bricks here that I can reclaim and use in the medieval town that it just makes sense to put this back and take the bricks back and use them and not have this in there, because it is quite big and I would have had to do quite a lot of work to make it fit. I don't think it works personally in there. So this still splits apart. So you've still got the function that you had originally. So that still comes apart. This one is squared up because normally it's at an angle. So obviously I've squared that up. The other huge change to it that you might not be able to tell because it's not really that obvious, but they are an extra 2 studs wide. The way they did the arrow slits only works with an odd number. So the original would have been 5, this is 7, which made a lot of changes up at the top to allow that half plate off stud to hang. It did take quite a while to work this one out. Obviously, you can see where I've added that extra section. I'll explain that in a minute. I've squared this up. Must move the ramp out of the way. I squared this up in order for it to basically be mills, because otherwise it's going to sit on it at a funny angle. That would have come down. The ramp would have had to come over the top. Yeah, it would have been crazy. Squared all these bits up because they were on an angled plate as well. So that meant squaring the other side up just on that end. So it still looks the same. I mean, that bit sticks out a little bit more than the original does. But in here, this has become part of the storage room, which makes more sense when we look at that side. But we'll stay looking at this side. So we're here now. So as you can see, it's wider at the back. So you've got an extra, is it a meticulation, I think? Here, which you wouldn't normally, you'd have only had the 2.5. You wouldn't have had that one in there, and you wouldn't have had the extra arrow slit down below. So it would have been out there, cut off. I've obviously tiled all the water. If I was going to have continued with this project, as in it would have been a part of a keep or castle inside the medieval town, then I would have probably changed these blue plates out as well to either match this or blend in with this better, because obviously that's the original blue and it does kind of stand out, and you see even more when we do the watermill. But by tiling it down and using the Ninjago technique, as I like to call it, which I'm sure many people do, so that's where I first discovered it, it allows you to open it up like it did previously, so you're not losing any functionality. The only thing that you get is there's a heck of a lot more room here. So you've got quite a lot of room in here for the horses. So you could get 3 in there, but really you probably put 2. It just gives you a bit more room. There's a little bit more room on that side. Not that makes much difference. The portcullis, the drawbridge, they all work the same. The ramp with it sliding down into here, into the dungeons, works the same. Both sides of the dungeons are bigger. They're quite small, which is fairly classic castle-y when you've got small dungeons that'll just fit a figure. But it was always something I would improve because, they don't really fit many people in there. So you've locked up one person and then you're stuck because you've got nowhere else to lock somebody else up. And I know this gives you 2 cells, which is got play features in it. But you could get 2 or 3 prisoners in that one and 2 and 3 in that one. So it just kind of makes more sense to me, especially if you try to do a scene or do something different. You obviously gain some room here. Not that makes a huge amount of difference, but there is a little extra part on that side that you could put some detail on. We've already talked about here. This has stayed the same. The gateway works exactly the same way as it did before. I think the treasure room's slightly bigger as well, so you can put more treasure in there. Overall, lots more space up top for opposing figures. The extra bit that I was going to say at this part, we just push this back round, there was a way of hiding the drawbridge. So the drawbridge button that sticks out the side normally is hidden in there. So it just made sense. Had to make this bit in here a little bit smaller. Still fit the forest men in. Or forest guardians as they're called now, which I do not like. You can still fit them in. It still works as a little cave with a little homage to the camouflage outpost. This still slides across to get back into the thing. but it isn't as good as the original one because I had to make some changes to this, so it sticks a little bit more than the original one does. And it's also, I mean, it goes in fine. It's not as big and chunky and there isn't as much room, but it still works. There's the tree, there's the cave, it's all fully functional. Obviously, because they haven't got the cave under there, they've got the cave under here. Last couple of things, put 2 of the lion knights or lion heads that came. I think some of them came in the Chima set, where I got them from. But they always look good because they're stoned, almost gargoyled lions. Couldn't really fit them in anywhere particularly, so put them at the top as like ballistas or crossbows. They're angled up and down, so you can maneuver them if you want. Just some extra that I did. And that's pretty much that side. So if we do a bit of a swap around, this is a bit of an experimental layout. This side's pretty much the same. Still at an angle, still the same width of walls. I did put the heights up on each of these tops, and that was mainly because I thought they were too low. So I added an extra layer of brick on all of the battlements. So this is still the same. The cave's there. Inside is different. I made sure there was a hole from the kitchen into here because this is a storeroom that leads into the other side, which you can use as a storeroom. There's still a little ramp under here. Can't really get to it that well. There we go. Looked it up. Ladder's fallen off, but there is meant to be a ladder on here, so you can get through there as well. So that all still works. Kept all those play features that were quite good. And yeah, like I said, just repurpose that as a storeroom rather than a little hidey hole. But yeah, you can still get to it from inside the cave. So the little seat and table are actually down there. Again, this opens up exactly like the other one does because we've used the tiles. So we're a plate up. It's kind of weird when you're building it because you have to build the plate up because you know you're going to put tiles down. It takes a little bit for your head to get around before you get into the habit of building up, because otherwise when you put tiles down, they'll be at different levels, if that makes sense. But yeah, if the tile level is under there, then that needs to be another plate up. I'm sure it's as clear as mud, but yeah. So again, nothing's changed in here. It's exactly the same. The only difference being is that you've got this little doorway now that goes from the kitchen to the storeroom. I did want to make this bigger, so if I had more time, I would have made this bit longer. It would have gone further down to that 32 by 32 to give what is probably the worst things about this set is the hall, the dining hall, the bedroom. They're just on the small side, aren't they? The bit I really don't like about this side, as a functional sort of play model, is the tower. It's not wide enough. You can't actually ring the bell. It'd be nice to have had like a chain or a string down for the bell. And also, you can't get up there. Everywhere else has got really good access. They've done a real good job with ladders and all sorts of tricks and steps to get up places. This, no way of getting on top of there. You know, they do the really cool function with the balcony, but then they don't think about how someone's going to get it up here. So I would have made this tower bigger. I would have brought this out here and gone slightly higher. And that way it would have allowed you to have put some form of ladder or staircase, or most likely a ladder, because you'd need quite a lot of room for a staircase. And then you'd have been able to access that bell better, so you could actually ring it. That's something I was going to do. But like I've said, I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to put it back to how it was and reclaim the bricks. There'll be homages to this in the city. So the main gatehouse is very much built and designed like that one. If you watch the videos, you'll see it instantly. It's even got the cantilever drawbridge, which if you watch video 1, you'll see how much I struggled with trying to get that to work, because on this, it's quite high. There's plenty of room for that drawbridge to fall back in. I didn't want the gatehouse on my medieval town to be that high. Therefore, I had to come up with some techniques to get that to work. So fundamentally, that is pretty much it. I will put, like I say, I will put a bell tower and other little nods, and the Tudor house will be going in some form into the medieval town. But as I'm going to use some of the bricks from this to build that, I thought I'd do this video now while I could. The ramp is just a really, really big, trying to work out what it is. It'll be 16 by 64. And it's still, does the job. It's got an entrance under there, which allows you to get into the caves. It's got a waterfall, so the water coming down, bit of rock work going on. As you can see, it's quite a big, hefty lump of bricks with a lot of filler bricks used. So again, I'll be able to reclaim all that and the bread loaf pieces and stuff to work on the medieval town. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I've done this now because I'm going to reclaim a lot of the bricks and put this back to normal. And I was unwell last week, so I didn't get a lot done on the medieval town. So I thought this is a good time to get this video shot, get it out there, get it recorded for me, because obviously there'll be, other than first, it's for the last time it's in this configuration. And yeah, crack on this weekend with carrying on with the medieval town. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Really looking forward to making some more of the build and video in it, so you can see, and loving the feedback. Thanks everyone. Catch you next time.